Hello everybody, welcome to my channel.
Anthony Quinn. A life of art, passion, and cinematic immortality. Anthony Quinn stands as one of the most dynamic and versatile actors of the 20th century, a performer whose magnetic presence, expressive intensity, and artistic curiosity shaped a career spanning more than 6 decades. Best known for his unforgettable roles in Zorba the Greek, Viva Zapata, and Lawrence of Arabia, Quinn embodied characters with uncommon emotional depth, cultural resonance, and a raw, human physicality that set him apart from his contemporaries. Early life and influences. Antonio Rodolfo Quinn Oaxaca was born on April 21, 1915, in Chihuahua, Mexico. His early years were marked by hardship and displacement. His family moved to the United States during the Mexican Revolution. Growing up in Los Angeles, Quinn worked a variety of jobs, carving stone, preaching, even boxing professionally, before his natural flair for performance led him to acting. His background, often at the margins of Hollywood's cultural expectations, became one of his greatest assets. Quinn brought to the screen a textured understanding of identity, immigration, and resilience, allowing him to portray characters from a wide range of cultures and historical periods. Breakthrough in Hollywood. Rise. Quinn began his acting career in the late 1930s, often cast as ethnically ambiguous characters, a standard practice in Hollywood at the time. His determination and charisma, however, soon earned him more complex roles. His first major critical success came with Viva Zapata, 1952, in which he starred opposite Marlon Brando. Quinn's electrifying portrayal of Eufemio Zapata won him the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, making him the first Mexican-born actor to receive an Oscar. He won a second Oscar for Lust for Life, 1956, playing painter Paul Gauguin with fiery conviction. International stardom. Quinn's presence was ideally suited for international cinema. He thrived in European productions, taking on grand, emotionally charged roles that became iconic. Zorba the Greek, 1964. The role that cemented Quinn's global fame was Alexis Zorba, a character brimming with life, philosophy, and exuberance. Quinn's performance remains one of the most celebrated in film history, a portrayal of joy and human complexity that audiences continue to embrace. Lawrence of Arabia, 1962. As Auda Abu Tayi in David Lean's epic film, Quinn delivered a commanding and unforgettable performance. His interpretation of the proud and powerful tribal leader became one of the film's defining strengths. Beyond acting, the artist and the man Anthony Quinn was not only an actor. He was also a painter, sculptor, writer, and world traveler. Art was central to his identity. His paintings and sculptures were exhibited internationally, reflecting his passion for culture, mythology, and personal expression. In his personal life, Quinn was known for his intensity and vitality. He married 3 times and had 13 children, balancing his creativity with a large, diverse family life. He lived with the same emotional openness that marked his performances. Later career and legacy. Even in his later years, Quinn continued to work steadily in film, television, and theater. His presence remained commanding, and he transitioned smoothly into elder statesman roles that reflected his wisdom and stature. Anthony Quinn passed away on June 3, 2001, at the age of 86. His legacy endures through his extraordinary body of work, more than 160 films, and through the cultural impact of his most iconic performances. Conclusion. Anthony Quinn's career is a testament to artistic courage, emotional authenticity, and the power of a performer who refused to be confined by Hollywood's boundaries. He embodied characters with profound humanity and lived a life enriched by art, culture, and curiosity. Today, Quinn remains a towering figure in global cinema, an actor who left an indelible mark on film history and continues to inspire new generations of performers. A master of transformation, one of Anthony Quinn's greatest strengths was his ability to transform entirely into the characters he portrayed. His rugged physicality, expressive eyes, and deep, resonant voice made him believable as kings, revolutionaries, artists, warriors, and ordinary men. Unlike many actors who relied on typecasting, Quinn embraced a vast variety of roles, often immersing himself in accents, historical research, and physical preparation. He once remarked that he approached characters through emotion rather than technique, allowing instinct, memory, and personal experience to guide his performances. This instinctive style gave his portrayals a raw authenticity rarely achieved in classic Hollywood. Working with cinema's great visionaries, Quinn collaborated with some of the most acclaimed directors in film history, each recognizing his emotional power and dramatic range. Elia Kazan directed Quinn to his first Oscar win in Viva Zapata, and later cast him in Wild as the Wind, 1957, a film that showcased Quinn's ability to portray turbulent, conflicted characters. David Lean with Lean in Lawrence of Arabia, Quinn delivered a performance layered with pride, humor, and ferocity, one that stood tall among a star-studded ensemble. Federico Fellini in La Strada, 1954, Quinn starred as the brutish strongman Zampano. Though the film was Italian-made, Quinn's emotional intensity fit perfectly within Fellini's poetic and tragic world. Today, Zampano is considered one of Quinn's most hauntingly beautiful performances. Michael Cacoyannis's Zorba the Greek became a defining collaboration for both director and actor. Quinn inhabited Zorba so completely that the character became synonymous with him, an embodiment of resilience, joy, sorrow, and an unbreakable spirit. Champion of multi-ethnic representation in an era when Hollywood often confined actors of color to stereotypical roles, Quinn broke barriers. His own heritage, Mexican and Irish, gave him a multicultural sensitivity that set him apart from many of his peers. He portrayed characters from dozens of ethnic backgrounds, sometimes controversially by today's standards, but always with dignity and emotional truth. Quinn's success helped open doors for future generations of Latino actors. He became a symbol of pride for Mexican and Latin American audiences who rarely saw artists of their background achieve such global prominence. The artist behind the actor beyond the screen. Anthony Quinn was deeply committed to fine art. He studied sculpture and painting long before he became famous as an actor. His time working with the renowned architect Frank Lloyd Wright in the 1930s had a formative influence on his aesthetic philosophy. Wright encouraged Quinn's artistic pursuits, teaching him discipline, independence, and the importance of personal expression. Quinn's pieces often blended classical and modern influences, exploring themes of mythology, spirituality, and human emotion. His art exhibitions drew critical praise and added another dimension to his creative legacy. Personality, passions, and complexities. Quinn was known for his powerful presence not just on screen but also in life. Colleagues frequently described him as passionate, charismatic, sometimes stubborn, and endlessly energetic. He lived expansively, traveling constantly, embracing new cultures, and working on creative projects even into his 80s. He was also candid about his struggles, including the challenges of balancing a demanding career with his large family. His autobiographies, The Original Sin and One Man Tango, provide intimate insights into his journey, triumphs, and contradictions. Late career renaissance. In the 1980s and 1990s, Quinn continued to take on compelling roles in films like The Message, where he portrayed the uncle of the Prophet Muhammad. Lion of the Desert, A Walk in the Clouds, and the television miniseries Gunsmoke, The Last Apache. He also appeared on stage, most notably in a Broadway revival of Zorba, revisiting the role that had become central to his identity. Even as age advanced, Quinn retained an indefinable vitality. Directors admired his professionalism and instinctive power, and audiences remained captivated by his presence. Cultural legacy. Anthony Quinn's influence extends far beyond the cinema. In film, he left a blueprint for emotionally vibrant, physically expressive acting, particularly for performers of multicultural backgrounds. In art, his sculptures and paintings continue to be displayed around the world. In culture, Zorba became a symbol of unrestrained human spirit, and Quinn himself embodied the idea of transcending limitations through creativity. Quinn's life represents a unique blend of artistry, resilience, and passionate storytelling. His work continues to inspire actors, filmmakers, and audiences who admire not only his talent but also his ability to break boundaries with grace and force. A philosophy shaped by hardship and hope. Anthony Quinn's worldview was profoundly shaped by the struggles of his early life, immigration, poverty, and cultural displacement. These experiences left him with a philosophy centered on resilience, self-invention, and emotional honesty. Quinn believed that every person carries both joy and pain, and that an artist's job is to reveal these truths without fear. He often spoke about the importance of passion, whether in love, work, or art. To Quinn, a life lived without passion was a life half lived. This belief is evident in his most iconic characters, all of whom radiate a sense of urgency, intensity, and raw humanity. Signature roles. The performances that defined him filled right-pointing pointer La Strada, 1954, as Zampano. Quinn created a character who was both brutal and tragically human. His performance showed a depth that transcended language and culture. The final scene, where Zampano collapses in anguish, remains one of the most emotionally powerful sequences in Italian cinema. Filled right-pointing pointer Wild as the Wind, 1957, Quinn earned an Oscar nomination for his portrayal of a Nevada rancher caught between loyalty and desire. His ability to express suppressed emotion and simmering conflict demonstrated the breadth of his dramatic range. Filled right-pointing pointer The Message, 1976, playing Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib. Quinn brought dignity and gravitas to a historical role that required restraint and respect. The film remains widely influential across the Middle East and Muslim world. Filled right-pointing pointer Lion of the Desert, 1981, as Omar Mukhtar, the Libyan resistance leader, Quinn delivered one of his most heroic and noble performances. He portrayed the freedom fighter with deep empathy, capturing the moral strength of a man who defied empire. Impact on global cinema. Filled right-pointing pointer A pioneer for Latino actors. Quinn's success paved the way for later generations of Latin American and Hispanic actors, showing Hollywood that audiences were ready to embrace diverse talent. Stars like Edward James Olmos, Benicio del Toro, and even international figures such as Javier Bardem have cited Quinn as an inspiration. Filled right-pointing pointer A voice for immigrant artists. Quinn proved that one could rise to international fame without abandoning one's cultural heritage. He frequently addressed the struggles of immigrant life, using his platform to advocate for dignity, representation, and opportunity. Filled right-pointing pointer A bridge between cultures. Few actors moved as fluidly across continents as Quinn. He appeared in American blockbusters, Italian masterpieces, Greek cultural classics, and historical epics from the Middle East. His work helped internationalize Hollywood long before globalization became a film industry norm. An artist of many mediums while the world knew him as an actor, Anthony Quinn saw himself fundamentally as an artist. He poured this identity into sculpture. His bronze and stone works explored human form, mythology, and transcendence. Painting, often abstract and emotionally charged, influenced by his travels and spiritual curiosity. Writing. His memoirs are rich with reflection, passion, and sometimes painful truth. Architecture. His collaboration with Frank Lloyd Wright helped refine his artistic discipline. Quinn's creativity overflowed into every part of his life, making him one of the rare actors who truly embodied the Renaissance spirit of multidisciplinary artistry. The man behind the myth. Anthony Quinn's personal life was as dramatic as his film roles. Known for his charm, ambition, and charisma, he lived with intensity, navigating complex relationships, fatherhood, fame, and constant travel. But he was also introspective. Friends and interviewers often remarked on his ability to shift from boisterous laughter to deep philosophical conversation within moments. Quinn understood loneliness, identity, and longing just as deeply as he understood joy and exuberance. Final years and enduring memory. In his later years, Quinn settled into a quieter rhythm, focusing on family, painting, and selective roles. Even as age softened his physical presence, his spirit remained vibrant. He continued to work until shortly before his passing in 2001. Today, Anthony Quinn lives on in the characters he brought to life: passionate revolutionaries, wandering poets, fearless adventurers, and unforgettable icons. His performances remain studied in film schools, admired by actors, and beloved by audiences around the world. A timeless legacy. Anthony Quinn will forever be remembered as one of the most expressive actors of classic cinema, a trailblazer for multicultural representation in Hollywood, a passionate artist who embraced life fully, an enduring symbol of artistic freedom and emotional truth. His life and work remind us that art has no borders, and that the human spirit, in all its complexity, is the greatest story ever told. Anthony Quinn. Further reflections on a singular life and legacy, a career that evolved with the times across 6 decades. Anthony Quinn adapted to the changing landscape of film like few actors of his era. His career can be seen in clear phases that reveal his artistic evolution. Filled right pointer. The early Hollywood years, 1930s to 1940s, Quinn began with small, typecast roles: Native American warriors, henchmen, boxers, and soldiers. But even in these brief appearances, directors recognized his presence. His physicality and intensity set him apart from the conventionally polished Hollywood leading men of the time. Filled right pointer. The breakthrough era, 1950s. The 1950s transformed Quinn into a major star. With 2 Academy Awards, Viva Zapata and Lust for Life, he established himself as an actor of extraordinary emotional depth. His collaboration with European filmmakers expanded his range and solidified his international appeal. Filled right pointer. The global icon period, 1960s. This decade brought Quinn's most universally beloved role, Zorba, the embodiment of vitality. His work in epics like Lawrence of Arabia, The Guns of Navarone, and Requiem for a Heavyweight confirmed his status as a global superstar. Filled right pointer. The mature actor and cultural elder, 1970s to 1990s. Quinn's later career reflected wisdom, gravitas, and moral strength. He portrayed historical and cultural pillars: Hamza in The Message, Omar Mukhtar in Lion of the Desert, and patriarchal figures in modern dramas. His performances remained commanding, rich, and heartfelt. A masterclass in emotional authenticity. Anthony Quinn's style stands out for several qualities that actors study today. 1. Physical acting. Quinn believed the body reveals emotion more honestly than words. This is evident in the way he used posture, gesture, and movement to express turmoil, passion, or vulnerability. His dances, confrontations, and quiet moments all feel grounded in a living, breathing human. 2. Emotional transparency. Whether portraying a wanderer or a warrior, Quinn's emotions were never hidden. His face could shift from fierce intensity to tender sorrow in seconds. He was not afraid to be raw, which gave his performances a remarkable realism. 3. Instinct over technique. Quinn famously said that he did not train in any specific acting method. Instead, he relied on life experience, observation, and intuition. This gave his performances a spontaneous, unpredictable quality that audiences found magnetic. 4. Universal humanity. No matter the nationality or background of his characters, Quinn infused them with a deep sense of humanity, longing, pride, grief, humor, and contradiction. This made his portrayals resonate across cultures and decades. Relationships with other Hollywood legends. Marlon Brando. Quinn's dynamic with Brando was one of mutual respect and rivalry. Their work together in Viva Zapata is legendary. Quinn often joked that Brando made him dig deeper into his own craft. Kirk Douglas. Their collaboration in Lust for Life was marked by fiery on-set chemistry. Douglas described Quinn as an actor who could steal a scene with a glance. Sophia Loren. Quinn and Loren shared strong artistic chemistry in films like The Black Orchid and Attila. Their dynamic combined passion, power, and emotional vulnerability. Gregory Peck. Quinn admired Peck's discipline and dignity, and their work together contributed to some of Quinn's most refined performances. These relationships shaped Quinn's artistic growth and deepened his understanding of collaboration, competition, and creative respect. Deep personal complexity. Anthony Quinn's personal identity was deeply layered. Mexican-born, American-raised Irish heritage through his father, a global citizen by lifestyle and spirit, he often spoke about feeling like an outsider, neither fully accepted by American society nor entirely at home, with expectations placed on Mexican artists. This sense of being in between worlds infused many of his roles with melancholy and yearning. Yet he also embraced his outsider status as a creative strength. It gave him emotional flexibility and a broader understanding of human struggle. His love for travel and cultural immersion. Quinn's global stardom allowed him to travel extensively, and he approached every country with curiosity and respect. Greece, Italy, North Africa, France, and the Middle East all shaped his artistic vision. He didn't just visit places, he absorbed their culture, philosophy, and artistic traditions. This immersion enriched his performances and made him a uniquely cosmopolitan actor whose work feels timeless and borderless. An actor who inspired generations. Quinn's influence is visible in the work of many modern performers. Benicio del Toro, who blends quiet intensity with physical presence. Javier Bardem, known for his emotional volatility and depth. Antonio Banderas, who credits Quinn for inspiring his approach to culturally rooted characters. Gael Garcia Bernal and Diego Luna, who followed Quinn's path as Mexican actors breaking into global cinema even beyond Latino performers. Many actors admire Quinn for his courage, authenticity, and refusal to be limited. The eternal spirit of Zorba. Among all his roles, Zorba the Greek stands as Quinn's most symbolic. Zorba is joyful, passionate, flawed, fearless, deeply human for Quinn. Zorba represented a philosophy: to live life fully, bravely, and without regret. This portrayal captured a universal spirit, transforming Quinn from a respected actor into a cultural icon. To this day, tourists dance the Sirtaki in Greece, inspired not by ancient tradition, but by Anthony Quinn's unforgettable performance. A legacy secure in film history. Anthony Quinn's contribution to the arts is vast. Over 160 films, 2 Academy Awards, a decades-long international career, artistic achievements in painting and sculpture, influence on global representation in cinema, a lasting emotional imprint on viewers worldwide. He remains one of the rare actors whose presence transcended the screen, an artist who lived as boldly as the characters he portrayed. Anthony Quinn. An ever-expanding portrait of a cinematic titan. The psychology behind his performances. Anthony Quinn's acting was defined by an emotional intensity that seemed to come from deep internal wells. What made his performances so powerful was not just technique, it was psychological truth. Filled right pointer emotional memory. Quinn often tapped into his own lived experience. His childhood poverty, the isolation of immigrant life, the struggle to fit in, the pride of self-made success. These memories fueled characters like Zampano, Alexis Zorba, and Omar Mukhtar. Whether playing a tyrant, a poet, or a rebel, Quinn infused them with vulnerability beneath the surface. Filled right pointer. The duality of man. Many of Quinn's characters showcased dual nature, fierce yet tender, proud yet wounded. This duality reflected Quinn himself, a man of enormous passion, capable of fierce temper and deep affection. His intensity was not merely acting, it was a reflection of real inner turmoil and force. The influence of his multicultural heritage. Anthony Quinn's background profoundly shaped his career. As a man with Mexican and Irish heritage raised in the United States, Quinn developed a worldview that blended cultures. Filled right pointer. The Mexican spirit. From his Mexican roots, he inherited passion, resilience, and a connection to storytelling traditions rich in symbolism, struggle, and spirituality. Filled right pointer. The Irish romanticism. From his Irish lineage came a poetic sensibility, wit, humor, and a deep appreciation for tragedy and longing. Filled right pointer. The American experience. Growing up in Los Angeles during the Great Depression toughened him, teaching survival, hard work, and ambition. Because of this multicultural identity, Quinn never approached characters as stereotypes. He understood the complexity of cultural identity, the pride and the pain, and this perspective lent authenticity to every role. Art and life intertwined. Filled right pointer. Sculpture and painting as therapy for Quinn. Art was not a hobby, it was an emotional outlet. He sculpted when words failed him. He painted when he needed clarity. His artworks often depict muscular, powerful forms, mythic figures, faces full of anguish or wonder. These themes mirror the emotional intensity of his acting. Filled right pointer. Architecture as discipline. Working with Frank Lloyd Wright taught Quinn order, precision, and balance, 3 qualities he later applied to his artistic life. The collaboration helped Quinn understand aesthetics, structure, and the emotional impact of form. Spirituality and inner searching. Anthony Quinn was not tied to any single religion, but he was deeply spiritual. His worldview blended Catholic cultural roots, native Mexican mysticism, Greek philosophy, influenced heavily by Zorba, a fascination with Middle Eastern history, humanistic ideals. This spiritual blend added layers of wisdom to roles like Hamza and Omar Mukhtar, where he conveyed not only strength but moral clarity. Relationships and emotional turbulence. Quinn's personal relationships were often intense, complex, and passionate, just like his work. He married 3 times and had many love affairs, resulting in 13 children. Although his personal life was sometimes turbulent, Quinn remained committed to his family and proud of his heritage. He was known to be Warm and generous, fiercely competitive, deeply loyal to friends, honest to a fault, driven by instinct rather than logic. These traits made him a fascinating figure on and off screen. Quinn's vision of masculinity. One of Quinn's most significant cultural contributions was his redefinition of masculinity. He portrayed men who were emotional, vulnerable, expressive, joyful, flawed, physically strong yet spiritually sensitive. This contrasted sharply with the rigid, silent, tough guy archetype of mid-20th century Hollywood. Quinn showed that masculinity could include laughter, tears, tenderness, and complexity. His symbolic roles across cultures. Anthony Quinn played characters that symbolized universal human struggles. Filled right pointer The outsider. Films like La Strada and Requiem for a heavyweight focus on characters who live on society's edges, reflecting Quinn's own sense of being an outsider. Filled right pointer The hero in Lion of the Desert. He represents moral courage in the face of tyranny. Filled right pointer The wanderer. Zorba symbolizes freedom, passion, and the joy of existence. Filled right pointer The artist as Gauguin in Lust for Life. He embodies the tortured genius, masterfully portraying the ferocity of artistic ambition. These roles created an emotional bridge between his personal identity and universal human experiences. Legacy in world cinema. Anthony Quinn's legacy extends beyond Hollywood. Filled right pointer In Greece, he is immortalized for Zorba. The beach where he danced remains known as Anthony Quinn Bay. Filled right pointer In Mexico, he is remembered as one of the greatest global Mexican-born artists, a national pride symbol. Filled right pointer In the Arab world, his roles in The Message and Lion of the Desert made him a beloved figure across the Middle East. Filled right pointer In Europe, his performances in Italian and French cinema earned him a special place among European film icons. Filled right pointer In Hollywood, he stands with the greats, Brando, Douglas, Burton, Peck, yet he retains a unique identity rooted in diversity and emotional depth. Why Anthony Quinn still matters more than 20 years after his death. Quinn remains relevant because his multicultural identity resonates with today's global world. His intense, honest acting style influenced modern film performance. His characters expressed universal emotions that transcend borders. He broke stereotypes and expanded representation long before it became mainstream. His life story inspires artists from small beginnings to dream big. Anthony Quinn. A deeper descent into the legend, a life that reads like a novel. Anthony Quinn's journey from the dusty streets of Chihuahua and East Los Angeles to the global heights of cinema is a story that mirrors the great epics he starred in. His life was not simply lived, it was felt, fought for, and expressed with the same passion that defined his most iconic characters. His autobiography reveals a boy who carved his identity from hardship and imagination. He was shaped by the violence and upheaval of the Mexican Revolution, the immigrant struggle in early 20th century America, feelings of displacement and cultural ambiguity, a fierce determination to survive and succeed. These early experiences formed the emotional foundation of an actor who understood pain, yearning, and resilience on a visceral level. A man of contradictions. The more one studies Quinn, the clearer it becomes that he was a man of profound contradictions. He was modest about his craft, yet proudly aware of his natural gifts. He was emotionally open, yet carried deep scars that he rarely discussed. He loved grand adventures, but craved moments of intimacy and stillness. He embodied strength but did not hide his vulnerabilities. These contradictions made his performances so compelling. They reflected real human complexity, not the polished simplicity of Hollywood archetypes. The weight of cultural identity. Anthony Quinn's place in Hollywood history is inseparable from the subject of identity. At a time when Latino, Native American, Middle Eastern, and Mediterranean characters were almost always played by white actors, Quinn became the industry's go-to performer for ethnic roles. But Quinn transcended the stereotypes of his era because he brought dignity to every character. He fought against one-dimensional portrayals. He insisted on emotional truth. He refused to be boxed into a single ethnicity, although modern perspectives critique the old Hollywood system. Quinn's ability to elevate roles of every culture remains remarkable. He once said, "I didn't play nationalities. I played people." And that philosophy is why his characters endure. Understanding Quinn through his most iconic archetypes. 1. The wild spirit. Zorba the Greek. Zorba is joy, tragedy, wisdom, madness, and love woven together. Quinn captured the soul of a man who embraces life with reckless abandon. His dance on the beach is one of cinema's great expressions of freedom. 2. The tormented outsider. Zampano in La Strada. Zampano is brutal because he does not know how to love. His final breakdown on the seashore is an emotional earthquake, revealing a soul trapped behind walls he built himself. 3. The revolutionary. Eufemio Zapata in Viva Zapata and Omar Mukhtar. Quinn excelled at playing men who fight for dignity, justice.
Bye bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.